Dark Pariah Press presents Iron Goddess, Book 1 in the Shea Stevens Outlaw Biker series, written and narrated by Dharma Kelleher. Chapter 1. Sparks exploded from the left foot peg of Shea Stevens' motorcycle as it scraped against the pavement. She was going too fast through the curves that twisted up the south side of Sycamore Mountain. The road was dark, daybreak still an hour away. Getting up close and personal with an elk at 60 miles an hour would be disastrous. But Shea was in a hurry. She tried to convince herself the call from the security company was another false alarm, a rat looking for a crumb, or maybe a glitch in the sensors. But she couldn't shake the fear that someone had broken into the shop. If the 3 custom motorcycles they'd finished the night before were stolen, it would be a $250,000 loss. Please, God, let it be another false alarm. Cold air blasted through the vents in her jacket, causing her teeth to chatter. In her rush to alleviate her paranoia, she'd thrown on her jeans and t-shirt from the night before, didn't bother with her bra. Her only precaution had been the .40 caliber Glock she'd slipped into a pancake holster at the small of her back. 15 minutes later, her bike crested the hill and reached what residents of Sycamore Springs, Arizona called Old Town, a mile-long strip of locally owned shops, including a cafe, a pharmacy, an antique shop, and Iron Goddess Custom Cycles, her destination. She screeched to a halt in front of the cycle shop, killed the engine, and ripped off her helmet. The pungent scent of creosote, mixed with dead skunk, made her nose crinkle. Moonlight reflected off the desert dust on the plate glass window, obscuring the Iron Goddess logo. Her gaze shifted left to the shop's front door. Shards of glass clung to the doorframe like broken teeth. "Fuck," she muttered. Her stomach clenched. She wanted to beat someone senseless. She climbed off the bike and scanned the street, hoping to spot the intruder skulking through Old Town. 50 feet away at the Cocopelli Cafe, a sign flickered on and off. Across the street, a security gate sliced the blue light of a 50s-era jukebox glowing from within the antique shop. The rest of Old Town's businesses slumbered in darkness. She dug a flashlight out of her tank bag and drew the Glock, turning her attention back to Iron Goddess. She crept onto the porch, paused outside the door, and listened for anyone who might be inside. Somewhere out in the starlit desert, a pack of coyotes performed a pre-dawn symphony of yips and high-pitched howls. 2 delivery trucks roared past 3 minutes apart. But no voices or sounds of crunching glass came from inside Iron Goddess. If anyone was still in there, they must have hunkered down when they heard her motorcycle. She had to find out for sure. Drops of a dark liquid on the ground just outside the door caught her attention. Was it oil? Or blood? She brushed it with a finger, creating a crimson smear. Blood. Her pulse quickened. She pulled on the door handle. It was unlocked. The thief must have reached in and unlocked it after breaking the glass. She scolded herself for not getting a double-cylinder lock. Once inside, she scanned the place with her flashlight. Tiny bits of glass sparkled like jewels across the floor. A bowling ball-sized rock lay near the front sales counter. The familiar industrial smell of the showroom mixed with the organic tang of blood. Her grip tightened on the gun. More drops of blood led off to the right. She considered turning on the lights, but didn't want to blow what little cover she had left. Broken glass crunched under her boots. She tried moving slower, but it didn't make her footsteps any quieter. She followed the trail of blood around the counter to where 3 custom-ordered bikes and several production bikes had been parked hours earlier. They were now gone. Clothing racks for motorcycle jackets and pants had been cleared. Empty hangers lay scattered on the floor. Shelves that had once displayed helmets, boots, and other gear had been stripped bare. Shea felt sucker-punched. Her mind kept telling her it was a dream, but her gut knew it wasn't. Her heart leapt into her throat when someone coughed and moaned. She ducked down until she heard it again. Her fingers slipped onto the trigger. She swung the flashlight around and found a man lying on the floor in the motor oil aisle. She approached cautiously, ignoring the pulse pounding in her ears. With the light on the man's face, she recognized him as Derek Williams, one of her employees. She slapped on the overhead lights. Derek was a scrawny guy, just shy of his 20th birthday. His stubbly face was pale and clammy. Blood covered his shirt, pooling on the floor around his chest. "Ah, shit, Derek!" She holstered her gun and knelt down next to him. He opened his eyes for a moment. They made me," he wheezed before coughing up blood. Who? Who did this to you?" His eyes lost focus and closed. She pressed 2 fingers to the side of his neck. Her own heart beat so fast she couldn't tell if he had a pulse or not. She pulled out her phone. "Cortez County 911, what's your emergency?" "I need an ambulance at Iron Goddess Custom Cycles, 8234 South Sycamore Highway. My friend is bleeding." "How is he injured, ma'am?" I don't know. I just found him. He's got blood all over his chest. I think someone shot him." "Is he breathing?" Let me check." She put her ear to his mouth and could hear shallow, gurgling breaths. "He's breathing, but barely." "We've dispatched an ambulance. It'll be there momentarily." Shea hung up the phone and checked his pulse again. It was there, but weak. Then it stopped. She struggled to remember the lessons from a CPR course 2 years earlier. She clasped her hands and compressed in the center of his chest. Blood gushed from his wounds. That wasn't in the course. She lifted up his shirt. His chest was smeared with blood. She wiped away as much as she could. Dark liquid oozed from 2 dime-sized wounds, one right above his heart, the other closer to his left shoulder. Shit! His shirt was soaked. Wouldn't work to stop the blood even if she could get it off him. Shea looked for something else to use. The nearby shelves were stocked with bottles of motor oil, industrial cleaners, and cans of chain lube. No shop cloths or clothing. She scrambled out of her jacket, pulled off her shirt, and twisted it into a tight wad. She pressed it over the wounds and compressed his chest again. The t-shirt kept the bleeding to a minimum. She continued pumping his chest. "Come on, Derek, give me a heartbeat." After 50 compressions, she checked again. Still no pulse. She continued pounding on his chest, desperately trying to minimize the bleeding and hoping the EMTs would arrive before she ran out of energy. Her back was beginning to cramp when the silver bell above the front door jingled. "Over here!" she yelled. 2 deputies rushed in, guns pointed at her.
"Sheriff's office, get on the floor! Hands behind your head!"